One factor that is considered when expanding companies into different countries is cultural differences. Cross-cultural challenges consist of communication, interactions, etiquette in the workplace, and the hierarchy in the organization. Effective communication is essential to business success. However, oftentimes there are language gaps in the global business environment. You can never assume that your foreign counterparts speak your native language. It is important to understand the language your target market speaks and know how to deliver your message properly. Gestures that are common in your native country, such as shaking hands firmly, making eye contact, and the exchange of gifts, can be taken as offensive or unusual by foreign clients or business partners. It is important to do your proper research and be observant in your foreign interactions. Walmart, for example, expanded their franchise into Germany, which did not work out at first because the customers felt uncomfortable when dealing with the workers. Germans believed that when the employees smiled at them, it was considered flirting. It is important to recognize the formality of address and proper dinner etiquette when engaging with business partners. Cultural norms guides how attitudes towards management and how their hierarchy is perceived. For example, a culture may not permit a junior staff or people in the middle management to speak up during business meetings. Or another example is that it can be difficult for workers to express their opinions or questions to the higher management. Other topics you can bring up when describing cultural differences is educational gaps, valuing time, and handling negotiations. And there's also many other topics you could bring up. This is Trey Chun, and thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Sydney Washington. I am a marketing junior student, and I wanted to touch bases on a few factors that you have to consider when you're expanding your business into a different country. So the first factor that you want to consider is currency. There is a difference in currency in all around the world. So for example, if your business was mainly or is still mainly in the United States and you decide to expand to a country such as China or Russia, you have to consider that they do use a different currency, and you have to know the difference between those currencies and how that may affect your business or may affect your target market. The next, the next factor is human talent. So you say you're a car company or a restaurant. Different countries may use different ways of serving their customers, such as like AI, which is artificial intelligence, which goes into robots, or they may, as the usual old-fashioned way, hire different employees. So when you're hiring employees, you also have to consider if they'll meet the requirements that you placed on your employees in the United States or the country that your business is mainly in, and if they'll meet those requirements for your business to function efficiently. And then you have to consider cultural norms, wages, benefits, workers' comp. Those things may change when you decide to move your business to a different
My name
country.
is Carlita Wiggins. I'm a sophomore business administration student. I am a part of Group 5, and my topic is on familiarity of offering. Are you entering a market where people are familiar with some version of your product or market? If your restaurant brand serves a specific type of cuisine, for example, is the market you are entering already familiar with this cuisine? Or will the consumers need to be educated? If the latter is the case, you will then take on the role and investment of pioneering the market to educate consumers on your offering and build the demand. Should you choose to go this route, educational market and other similar strategies will be important for getting the customer in the door. On the plus side, this investment has the potential to pay off well, giving you an advantage over any future incoming competition should the offering be well accepted. At the same time, it will be important to manage financial expectations, particularly on ROI, as the consumer education process should slow the ramp up period. Franchising.com states that entering a market where there is familiarity with your product or service reduces the need for consumer education and risks of non acceptance. In this scenario, it will be important to analyze the competitive landscape.
Hello, my name is Anjali Chandler. I'm a part of Group 5, and the question we chose was, what problems and factors should businesses consider when expanding globally? And the factor that stuck out to me was human talent. When businesses make plans to expand, they usually are in good financial standing or they have a great reputation. So when doing international business, I think it's just as important as doing domestic business that they maintain this reputation, or they at least use this abroad experience to improve their reputation. I think this starts with hiring a talented staff, and it's obvious that when hiring overseas, people have different talent levels, education levels, and requirements, and that also changes the requirements and laws of the process, which can be the wages, difference in wages, benefits, the difference in workers' compensation, and the cultural norms that can affect the staffing process. And some businesses solve this problem early on by sending domestic workers from the U.S. to work abroad. For example, if we have Citibank opening an office in Spain, they may send someone from their Miami office to go work in Spain, or somebody from their California, basically anywhere in the U.S., to go work abroad. That way they can receive the same quality of work and don't have to go through that difficult staffing process in Spain. I think human talent can sometimes be overlooked when doing international business, and that can lead to problems in the long run. So it is important that these businesses assess this problem early on, so they don't have any issues with the quality of work they do receive in these abroad countries. And that is the conclusion of my presentation, and I hope you all enjoyed and learned something new. Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is Lawrence Bullock. I'm a sophomore accounting student. I'm a part of Group 5, and our question deals with what are some issues and problems that companies might face when expanding for the first time. So one thing that companies need to pay attention to is the geographical distance when they're expanding, because typically what companies try and do is they try and expand to the first place that they receive interest from, but you want to be careful of doing that, because you don't want to end up in a situation where you're trying to go and put your first franchise or expand your business to another country all the way across the world when you might have somewhere local, which can make things a whole lot easier for you, because you might not have to deal with the cultural differences from going from one country to another country. And it kind of makes things easier when managing it, because like I said, you don't want to deal with things like time zone changes, language barriers, cultural differences, and things of that nature. So that's something that companies might want to pay attention to, and that ties into companies looking at the market landscape, because what you don't want to happen is a company that's primarily for, let's say, first world countries like United States, Japan, Germany, China, and things of that nature. A company that's kind of like more high end, you don't want to sit there and expand to a country where maybe like the GDP per capita is not as large as one of those first world countries, because then you're kind of going to lose money, because people don't really have the money to buy something that is well out of their budget right